please help me welcome Christelle Kwizera from Access Rwanda.
Thank you. Hi. Today, an estimated 200 million hours will be wasted by women worldwide trying to fetch water. I only have 5 minutes to tell you how we're changing that. So I founded Access Rwanda in 2014. I was doing my degree in mechanical engineering and noticed two problems in my community: youth unemployment and also the water crisis. So I figured we can use young people to solve the water crisis. Today, the company has created 53 jobs with an average age of 29 people. So we are using young people to the end goal, providing clean water to women. We've already serviced over 100,000 people and helped farms irrigate using our different services that have covered Rwanda, Uganda, Burundi, and DRC. The reason I started Access Rwanda is, like many of you and others, I've seen images like this and lived experiences like this where people, unfortunately millions, still have to fetch water this way. But our traditional solutions also are not permanent. For example, we receive money from donors from NGOs to go establish a borehole. But the problem is the community continues to grow, but the borehole doesn't. So after an opening day where everybody's happy receiving water, you can come up 1 year later to people waiting in line, not happy to be there, knowing that it's going to be a long wait, and they've worked so long to get that water. That is simply not enough. Another thing is sometimes the borehole is also broken with no management services. So that doesn't meet the human right to water. Water is a basic necessity of life. And because women around the world don't have access to water, they're not able to fulfill their full potentials. Some have water that is simply not acceptable or accessible to them. It's also not safe or affordable. That's 40 billion hours every year that women are losing to a non-income generating activities. But they need to do that for their family. Imagine if you have a family of 4 people. That is 5 trips you need to make to a water point, only provided you can carry 20 kilograms on each of your hands. So imagine 1 trip, 20 kilos, or 40 kilos if you're carrying 2 jerry cans, and do that 5 times to get the basic necessity of water for your family. Now imagine if you have to do laundry. So that's why in 2017, we started implementing Inuma water kiosks so that we can provide reliable access to water. Every time they come to the kiosk, they know there is water. The water is affordable, so price is not an issue. It's also convenient for them. It's near them, only a short walk, but guess what? They can also get it at home. And you know why? We don't want to stop at a public kiosk. So we're purifying the water so it's very safe when they fetch it. No need to boil or treat it further when they get it at home. We're using renewable energy because we don't want to pollute the environment by giving water to people. We also give the water up to their homes using prepaid meters, so they decide how much they want to spend on their water. Government, sorry. We adopted the national government proper national tariff to make sure that everybody can afford this water. So the government gives us their broken boreholes, we give them Inuma, which is way more sustainable, and we still adopt their tariffs so that everybody can have access and their lives can be improved. So you end up with smiles, children happy to come and fetch their water. They even now have time to pose for pictures with me. And women have time to educate their kids. We often find kids come to the kiosk to play instead of fetching water. But why stop there? Why stop at a public point? That's why we're going home, because if they even still have to make any trip to the water point, it's still too much, it's still too demanding. That's time they're also wanting to use for other activities. So for example, in this community in Majerajere, when we went there, people had access to water from a river that was crocodile infested. So 3 people already died when we established water points there. But all across Africa, when you're walking in the rural areas, you see women having to go to rivers to do laundry, to wash, because you go to the river, you don't have to carry the water with you, and those activities can happen there. So we really have to think about the burden African women are having to carry, having to go to the water instead of the water coming to them. So that's why we're giving piped water at home. So Inuma is professionally run by young people. We've created 34 jobs just from Inuma, and 64% of them are going to women. These women's life has literally changed. One of the women is now using the income from selling Inuma water to save for college. We've already built 21. Within 500 meters of every Inuma are living 12,000 people, and we have 16 houses connected with a target of 100 by the end of this month. We cross-subsidize our income across kiosks, so we can even go to those areas that we know are not going to make a profit, and so far we're making a 28% margin across all systems. Our vision is to make a forest, one microgrid at a time, the same way a forest is made of trees. This is the way we can fill Africa with reliable clean water through microgrids called Inuma, coming near you if you live in an area that doesn't have water. So we are Water Access Rwanda. We stand between two realities, one of fetching water away and one of fetching water at a tap using a glass, not a jerry can, because it's always there, it's always available, and very near you. Thank you.
Fantastic. Very good. Great. And now 5 minutes of questions from our judges.
Christelle, can you go through again, you tell me about this kiosk and how it works, where do you get the money to put up all these kiosks, and how exactly you do it, the kiosk?
Thank you for the great question. So Inuma feeds water from a borehole usually, but we're also starting to use spring water. The water is pumped through a hybrid pump that's powered by renewable energy using solar. It's filtered through two sediment filters, a UV, and also chlorinated. And we build a building, but we also pipe water up to individuals' homes. To build the initial infrastructure, we do need capital. So we've used our own retained earnings in the company. We've went to the same donors that used to pay us for boreholes and say, hey, this is a more sustainable solution. But we've also committed as an enterprise that 50% of all proceedings from Inuma go back to building more systems for non-profit money, but also our own money in the enterprise. Our next step is to actually get hard investment cash, but as was discussed a lot during this meeting, there is a bias against women, so we don't seem to get that money yet. But we want to create something that's financially scalable so that people can invest in us and know they're going to get a financial and impactful return.
A related question. I think I heard you say that you have some relationship with the government to actually give you the broken or underused boreholes. Can you elaborate on how that's working?
Thank you. So our relationship with government is actually even more than that. So they already have a lot of water infrastructure that's broken, waiting there. So we sign an MOU. And government has paid for some of these systems. So I also want to recognize that. So the boreholes are there broken. We go, we rehabilitate, we take the land where it used to be and put a kiosk. And then they also give us permission to run pipelines up to individuals' homes. And then within the MOU we signed, we agreed that the water will always be up to national standards of clean water, and that we're going to follow the regulated tariff.
What is your revenue model? What is your annual budget now, and what is your projection for the next 3 years?
So Inuma is one of the projects that we're doing with Water Access Rwanda. So last year we were able to sell 8 million liters, so that was around 8 million Rwandan francs, because it's 1 franc a liter. That would be about $10,000 US. And this year we've already hit, sorry, I confused them. 9 million last year. This year we've already hit 8 million, projecting to hit 9 million by the end of this month as well. But as a company, as Water Access Rwanda, we've been 5 years active, and our annual budget this year is 490,000, mainly to go towards constructing Inuma systems, because the initial capital is around 25,000.
Just thinking about what you were saying earlier, how many more are you looking to do this year?
Our target for this year is 20, and it's really depending on if we're able to convince people to come and do Inuma. So far we have CSR, so company who are paying us once we put up an Inuma infrastructure can put their logo on the side, and it's a way for them to gain more market. When people go by, they recognize, oh, this is the person helping me get water. We're also talking to grant-giving organization, including Waterfall, who is a really big partner for us. And this year, they've committed 160,000 to go towards new construction. But to hit our target of 20 this year, so that's 20 new networks. So there is networks we already have where we're trying to develop and get everyone water at home. And then there is new kiosk we're building. So this year's target is 20. But we actually have the capacity as an enterprise to do 4 every month. So if I can get the money, I'd like to do 48 this year, and then increase my capacity so I can do 10,000 next year, because the demand is so big.
Fair. Wonderful. Thank you so much. A round of applause. Incredible work. Thank you.